Hi, this is Dr. Anuja Raniwala on behalf of EduSearch. A very happy Women's Day to each and every one of you. This is an educational video. First, I'll be talking about self-breast examination and then starting off with breast cancer. So, self-breast examination is considered a big taboo in India, unfortunately. Women are afraid to touch themselves, to check themselves to see if there's any new lumps. And unfortunately, because of that, we diagnose breast cancer at a later stage than the West. Now, the advantage of doing a self-breast examination is the concept of lead time, where it allows us to get a lead over the cancer. It is diagnosed at an earlier stage, thereby improving your prognosis. No more medical terms now. I'm going to just quickly teach you self-breast examination. All you need for this examination is your hands. So firstly, we'll use the right hand for the left breast, the left hand for the right breast. I would recommend doing it in a mirror, so in front of a mirror, so you could see exactly what you're doing. If you want, keep this video along with you so that as I tell you the steps, you can do it. So let's start sequentially. First, look at yourself in the mirror. See the symmetry of the nipples. See the breast skin. See the nipples. If it all looks normal, go on with the next step. This is your inspection. The inspection also continues by putting both the hands up. Again, seeing the nipple symmetry. Again, seeing any change in the skin. The second part is palpation. That is actually feeling things with your hand. Use the pulp of the finger, not the palm or the tips. If you are heavy breasted, lie down and do this because you won't be able to feel any lumps if you're sitting. If you're not heavy breasted, you can continue to stand or sit and examine yourself. So while sitting, if you're examining yourself, go clockwise or anti-clockwise. Feel the nipple, pinch the nipple, press it to see if there's any nipple discharge. Go in a circular motion every time you try to feel the breast, like this. Then also feel the armpit in the front here, in the back here, and also up here in the just above the collarbone. Repeat the same process on the other side. If you're heavy breasted, as I said, lie down and do the exact same thing. So I have explained breast self-examination to you. If you want more technical details, what I do suggest is going on to YouTube, catching a video, keeping it with you in the bathroom, following all the steps until you figure out how it is to be done. Besides the self-breast examination, I'm also going to talk about basic symptoms of breast cancer. First and foremost, a lump in the breast. A lump progressively increasing in size. That is, it does not decrease and increase. It is just going to continue to increase in size. It may not noticeably increase within a few weeks. It may take years for it to grow. But if you can feel anything in your breast that is continuously increasing in size over the years, please do not ignore it. Please see a doctor immediately. These lumps may not be painful. Most likely they are painless, but sometimes they may also be painful. So if it's a painful lump also, please see a doctor. Some painful lumps can be very benign conditions like sebaceous cysts or abscesses, that is infections or pus inside your breast. You still need to see a doctor for that, but don't get worried. So painless lumps, basically lumps, skin changes, these are the common things that we see in terms of diagnosing breast. That is evaluating nipple discharge. So nipple discharge can be a little daunting. It can be scary. There can be benign causes of it. There can be malignant causes of it. The most common cause is past history of breastfeeding. Secondly, it could be because of a disease which is known as a pituitary adenoma, a small gland in your brain which secretes a certain hormone excessively, which leads to nipple discharge from both the nipples. But that's not the one that we really care about. What we care about is spontaneous nipple discharge which comes onto the clothes, bloody or clear, and could be copious, could be scanty, does not matter, from one duct. Now that you may not understand, but when you are seen by a specialist, we can understand that. In such cases, even if you're younger, we will be sending you for a mammogram, an MRI, whatever, depending on whatever you require. So with regards to nipple discharge, if you do get nipple discharge, which is suspicious, as I described, please see a surgeon immediately. Please see an oncologist, a surgical oncologist, or a breast specialist. This is something which physicians usually give antibiotics for a few days, and patients probably forget about it or ignore it. And then few years later, they come back to us with big cancers. So please don't ignore nipple discharge. Other things that I would like to highlight in breast examination is some skin changes. Dimpling. The dimple that is there on the skin, that can be seen sometimes in the skin of the breast. That can also be a sign of an underlying cancer. Flattening. The curve of the breast may become flat at one part, which again is a sign of cancer. Redness of the skin, the appearance of pudi orange, which is the peel of an orange fruit. If it looks like that, these are signs of cancer. And nipple excoriation, where the nipple becomes dry, scaly, could be little bloody, could be scratchy. These are the signs of a disease which is known as Paget's disease of the nipple. This also, if you can see when you're standing in front of the mirror, or if you notice it as a little blood stain on your bra, please see a doctor immediately. Cancer. Now, with regards to screening, there is no particular age defined. Every country or every board has different recommendations for when you should start screening. What we suggest is from the age of 40, you must go and see a doctor, get clinically examined. On their recommendation, you can go for a mammogram and an ultrasound. They should be done in tandem. So a mammogram and ultrasound are done together, even for screening. If only a mammogram is done, please request that they do an ultrasound also. There is a reason for this. When you're very young, the breast has increased density. There's less fat. So the chances of them missing something early in a mammogram only is possible. So an ultrasound has to be done along with the mammogram. There is also something which is known as tomography, which is part of the entire study of mammography and ultrasound. And it is used to further qualify what the lesion is. So these technical terms can be used while you're undergoing mammography. So please don't be alarmed about it. Now let's discuss if you are diagnosed with breast cancer, what next? Number one, please don't panic. It is not an emergency. Cancer is not something that develops overnight. It takes years for it to manifest into a lump. It's highly unlikely that 1 to 2 weeks of evaluation would result into metastasis. If that happened, then all doctors would be out of jobs. So I recommend not panicking. Second is the main evaluation consists of a good mammogram and an ultrasound, a good clinical examination, and the third thing is a biopsy. Between biopsies and fine needle aspiration cytologies, we recommend a TrueCut biopsy. If it's an advanced cancer, we recommend doing some markers which are known as ER, PR, HER2 and Ki67. This gives us an idea about the subtype of cancer and it helps us in planning out your treatment. So that is regarding the biopsy. Clinical evaluation is important to see clinically whether the patient is operable at that time or not, to discuss the treatment options with you, and to explain what is the tentative plan. Let's talk about the surgery. There are two options for surgery. One is breast conservation, that is saving the breast, and one is a mastectomy, that is removal of the breast. Breast conservation consists of taking out the lump and also the evaluating the axilla. That's a little complicated again, so I'm not going to get into the details, but the breast lump and the nodes that are present in the axilla are addressed. After which radiation is mandatory. Decisions regarding the drug treatment, that is either hormone treatment or chemotherapy, does not depend upon the type of surgery that we recommend. That remains the same irrespective of the type of surgery you choose. Mastectomy consists of taking out the entire breast and associated lymph nodes. So basically, even the lymph node surgery does not differ between the two. The decision regarding radiation depends upon your tumor characteristics and a lot of other factors. So even the decision regarding radiation cannot be told to you initially that yes, will you require it or not if you consider a mastectomy. There is no difference in survival in both the surgeries. The only difference is in cosmesis. So you can decide as a patient, do I want to keep my breast or do I not want to keep it? If you want to keep your breast conservation is as safe as a mastectomy if radiation is taken along with it, and obviously the remaining treatment that is advised. Let's talk about the big C, that is chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is not a very pleasant experience. It is recommended in advanced cancers. The indications of chemotherapy are limited nowadays in terms of the types of cancers that respond to chemotherapy. There are some which don't respond to chemotherapy. So I'm not going to get into the details. I'll just tell you briefly about chemotherapy and breast cancer. Chemotherapy can be recommended either before surgical treatment of breast cancer or after. Your choice of surgery plays a big role in that decision. If it's a large tumor and you want to save your breast, we give you chemotherapy before, shrink the tumor, and then operate. If it is a small cancer but of a subtype that does not respond to any treatment except for chemotherapy, then despite a small size, we may have to give you chemotherapy, which can be given either before or after, again depending upon your choice of surgery. Chemotherapy given before or after surgery makes no difference. It only helps in terms of helping to preserve the breast. Or if it is a very large cancer and we require to still take out the breast, it makes the surgery easy. Please remember that chemotherapy is not some miracle treatment. All treatment of breast cancer does not cause you to lose your hair. And that's not the only thing which helps to determine how good treatment is. Because that brings me to hormonal treatment. Hormonal treatment is actually not hormonal treatment, it's anti-hormonal. There are two types of drugs. One is the selective estrogen receptor modulators, the tamoxifen, raloxifene. Only tamoxifen is commonly used in breast cancer. Second is the aromatase inhibitors, anastrozole, letrozole. These are the ones which we commonly use. Tamoxifen falls in the group of SERM, selective estrogen receptor modulators, and anastrozole falls in the group of the aromatase inhibitors. These are the two mainstay drugs. I won't get into the detail except that they do have very few side effects. They are very safe drugs. They've been used since the 80s. And in hormone receptor positive cancers, they are the mainstay of the treatment. We are slowly decreasing the use of chemotherapy in our practice because anyway, those cancers don't respond very well to chemotherapy. They respond much better to hormonal treatment. So that's all about hormonal treatment.